No one is illegal on stolen land.
Before, I'll say it again. Either give the land back or shut the up. If we're going to do acknowledgments, shouldn't we acknowledge that that was kind of up? Did you know that well before 1619, Indians practiced slavery here in America? And the Apache, Iroquois, and Sioux all tried to wipe out their fellow tribes. I know it's comforting to think that there was this ethereal time and place before white guys in suits, when everyone was a gentle, nature-loving child poet who split their time between riding deer and drinking dew. But it's just not true.
Billie Eilish struck the match, and the backlash followed instantly. The Grammy-winning pop sensation aimed criticism at Trump and ICE, and stepping in to counter her was Bill Maher. The longtime host of Real Time with Bill Maher tore into what he saw as her glaring double standard with razor-sharp humor. If you're here for bold political commentary, hit subscribe and let's jump in.
New rule memo to Democrats: if you ever want to win an election again, the absolute most important first step is stop doing this.
We gather in celebration of the Oscars on the ancestral lands of the Tongva, Tataviam, and Chumash peoples, the traditional caretakers of this water and land.
Yeah, I don't know if we're still saying cringe. Are we? Is that? But if we are, that's this. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Either give the land back or shut the fuck up. Look, I understand the desire to right the wrongs of the past, especially when you get to take the moral high ground and then build an 8,000 square foot mansion on it.
If you've been watching for a while, you know Maher has zero tolerance for celebrities turning award shows into political pulpits. In his eyes, fame doesn't equal expertise, and applause doesn't equal authority. So when Billie Eilish accepted an award and declared, "Nobody is illegal on stolen land," Maher immediately locked onto it. The audience cheered, but he responded with sarcasm and a challenge. If she truly believes the land is stolen, he argued, then the response shouldn't be a slogan. It should be action. Give the house back. Return the property. Otherwise, skip the moral lecture. Her multi-million-dollar Los Angeles home sits on land historically associated with the Tongva people. And when a reporter attempted to ask whether she would consider giving it back, the outcome was revealing.
Please, Billie, we are here because this is stolen land, Billie, and we think we should be given access to your quite lovely $3 million mansion.
Needless to say, the reporter wasn't allowed in. Suddenly, the same worldview that rejects borders made room for walls, gates, and strict privacy. Billie Eilish clearly believes in boundaries when it protects her comfort, but publicly, the rhetoric tells a different story. And that contradiction is exactly what Bill Maher has been hammering. If the land is truly stolen, why not give it back or leave? His point isn't complicated. He argues many celebrities prioritize applause over consistency, choosing statements that sound morally impressive rather than taking meaningful personal action to back those words.
And I'm sure Julianne Hough is sincere about her love for the Chumash people, but I doubt she drives to work in a canoe, scavenges for acorns, or lives in a dome house made of reeds and dried mud. That's Woody Harrelson.
The reporter never got through the gate. Suddenly, the worldview that questions borders made room for fences and private security. Billie Eilish clearly believes in boundaries when they protect her comfort. Publicly, though, the rhetoric sounds very different. That contradiction is exactly what Maher keeps spotlighting. If the land is truly stolen, why stay? His point is straightforward. Many celebrities chase applause instead of accountability, choosing statements that sound virtuous rather than taking personal steps to support them.
Thank a tribe for Hollywood. Start with the Jews. Now, a few weeks ago in New Zealand, a modern, educated, technologically advanced country, they passed a law making a mountain a person. True, because their indigenous people, the Maori, believe that mountains and rivers are their ancestors, and so the mountain has been legally recognized to have all the rights of a human being, who has all the responsibilities, liabilities, duties, and powers of a human being, which, if you follow that to its logical conclusion, means the mountain can get a driver's license, vote, or adopt a rescue dog, and you should see its dating profile.
Maher has expanded his critique to others who recite land acknowledgements at events, calling the practice empty and performative. The contradiction is hard to ignore. Public figures express solidarity with Native communities in speeches, yet rarely change their own lifestyles or relinquish privilege. They won't surrender property or alter their comfort, but they'll deliver polished sympathy from a stage. During the presidency of Joe Biden, land acknowledgement language became common at official events, repeated so often it felt rehearsed. Maher's central question remains, what real action followed? No land transfers, no sweeping reforms, just applause and headlines that projected virtue without demanding sacrifice.
That ancient people weren't just as full of shit, in fact, more full of shit than humans today. It's so simplistic, this idea of guilt by civilization, that being ancient and indigenous and not us was always better than us. It wasn't. The Maori in pre-colonial times were like most indigenous people, quite warlike, frequently fighting other tribes, with the winners enslaving the losers and even eating them. Yeah, have the mountain tell you that story next time you get it drunk.
He then pushes the argument further, leaning into satire. Maher references New Zealand's move to grant legal personhood to certain natural landmarks in recognition of Maori tradition, which views mountains as ancestral beings. His target isn't the culture itself, but what he sees as modern symbolic politics. If a mountain is legally a person, he jokes, can apply for a driver's license, vote in an election, or adopt a rescue dog. The exaggeration drives home his broader point. Are real people benefiting, or are symbolic gestures replacing practical solutions?
Love to harp on how the 1950s was backward, and 1950s was backward, as every past era was, but somehow they see indigenous life in the 1550s as the pinnacle of enlightenment. Besides being ignorant, it's hypocritical because, the ancient lifestyle is available to you. You could live outside and forage for food and wash your clothes in a pond. We have that today. It's called being homeless, and it sucks.
Maher also challenges the romanticized image of ancient societies often praised by modern celebrities. Addressing voices like Billie Eilish, he argues that earlier civilizations weren't morally superior. They were limited by the knowledge and systems of their time. They did what they could with what they understood. Today's world, for all its flaws, is built on centuries of progress, scientific discovery, and evolving legal frameworks. Maher's view is blunt. Progress shouldn't be mistaken for moral failure. Glorifying the past while enjoying modern privilege is selective nostalgia. Real conviction, he says, demands consistency.
Bill, they lived in harmony with nature. Yeah, they had to, because no one had invented the toilet yet. The march of civilization has been bloody and painful, but we generally got to a better place, not a worse one. And not just technologically, but how we treat each other. Did you ever see the movie Apocalypto? Where the peaceful, enlightened Mayans built a big ziggurat so they could literally make heads roll in order to appease the gods and make it rain. Yeah, you don't see that on the Land O'Lakes box.
He keeps returning to the same uncomfortable challenge. If someone genuinely believes they live on stolen land, the logical step isn't another speech, it's restitution. That criticism lands squarely on celebrities like Billie Eilish, who use powerful moral language while continuing to live comfortably on that same land. Maher's argument is simple. Belief without sacrifice becomes performance. If modern society is inferior to ancient ways, why cling to its luxuries? Why keep the mansions, security systems, and advantages? Praising simplicity in theory is easy. Surrendering comfort is not. For Maher, authenticity is proven through action.
To do acknowledgments, shouldn't we acknowledge that that was kind of fucked up? Did you know that well before 1619, Indians practiced slavery here in America? And the Apache, Iroquois, and Sioux all tried to wipe out their fellow tribes. I know it's comforting to think that there was this ethereal time and place before white guys in suits, when everyone was a gentle, nature-loving child poet who split their time between riding deer and drinking dew.
At the core of his argument is a broader view of history. Human civilization has always involved migration, settlement, conflict, and rebuilding. By that standard, living on land once inhabited by others isn't uniquely modern. It's part of the human story. Maher argues that labeling present generations as morally illegitimate ignores how history actually unfolded. Borders shifted, empires rose and fell, and populations moved repeatedly across centuries. His point isn't to dismiss past injustice, but to reject permanent guilt for circumstances individuals didn't personally create. Progress, in his view, means building something better now.
Not true. What the European invaders did to the Indians, not good, but also not unusual. American Indians waged wars constantly, like Blake Lively. And the Comanche were polygamists whose leaders could bear children with a dozen women, like Elon Musk.
Maher emphasizes that history resists simple narratives. Long before modern nations existed, indigenous tribes fought over territory and resources. Land was contested, defended, and reclaimed across continents. His argument is that territorial conflict is an ancient human pattern, not a modern invention. Power changed hands repeatedly, and no group held land forever without challenge. That reality complicates the idea of clear-cut heroes and villains. Understanding history, he suggests, requires acknowledging its complexity rather than reducing it to convenient moral slogans.
Ancient horseshit isn't any better than its modern version. That's all I'm saying. Today in America, we have something called corporate personhood, which has gone a long way to corrupting our elections. But that's what we go by, that corporations are people. They're not, and neither are mountains.
Maher closes with characteristic bluntness. In the United States, corporate personhood has already complicated politics by treating corporations as individuals, and he insists mountains are not people either. At the heart of his critique is a demand for honesty and consistency. Celebrities like Billie Eilish may believe they're promoting justice by invoking stolen land, but Maher highlights the gap between declarations and deeds. If the conviction is real, it should come with personal cost, not just applause. History is complicated. Ancient societies were imperfect, and modern civilization, despite its flaws, represents accumulated progress. Symbolic language may feel powerful, but without concrete follow-through, it remains performance. For Maher, integrity begins when actions align with words. Subscribe for more update. Thank you.